So after the amazing keynote from Kathy, it was so clear and so engaging, thank you. We are going to very quickly go through the closing session with Simone. Can we have our slides? Is that possible? Lovely. Okay, very quickly. So I'm going to repeat fast what I said in the opening and the General Assembly, because talking to people, I came to realize that many of you joined a bit later, and I think it's important for you to know what we try to do as the Council so that you engage with the activities. You tell us what more we can do and what we are not doing well so that we can revise what we are doing. It's important for us to engage. So as I said during the opening ceremony, it is not just a scientific conference and a few awards. EAERE is a research community focusing on scientific excellence that wants to have an impact, not just within the field and across the field of economics, not just a scientific impact, but also an impact beyond science, an impact on policy making, an impact on the way businesses transform and try to move towards becoming sustainable, an impact on how financial institutions treat sustainability and decide to invest in sustainable solution pathways, an impact on the innovation ecosystem that is crucial for this sustainability transition, because this is basically a technology-led transition. And we think that EAERE can do this given how prestigious the scientific capacity of EAERE is and how the different institutions that are affiliated with EAERE have already been having significant impact on these areas. And given the multiple crises that we are facing, these days I start all my speeches by saying that we have the pandemic, we have the economic recession that derives from the pandemic, now adding inflation and possibly stagnation. We have the climate crisis, the biodiversity collapse crisis, the population crisis, the energy crisis that started the year before the war and has been aggravated by the geopolitical crisis in the Ukraine and the resulting food crisis. And all of these problems have to be dealt with simultaneously, and I can think of no other field that has the capacity to deal with this problem, while talking to the other disciplines that need to be involved in the solution of these problems. So that's why I think we should become more available to the interface outside our science while keeping the ability to produce the research excellence that we do. This is our vision. And very quickly, let me give you our basic functions in addition to the conference, the two prestigious journals that have given us the sense of community, but also are doing great in terms of their impact factor, EAERE and RIP, and we thank both the editors, Kathy and Ian. We also decided that we want to have hybrid conferences. It's lovely to meet, all of us that can meet, but it's also important to allow inclusiveness for those that cannot meet for financial reasons and for many other reasons. People that are young parents, people that are disabled, people that are way far away from Europe, and so on. We've seen that our virtual conferences had a very big level of attendance. And the other thing is, of course, this ability of the association to provide capacity for the administrative part of the conferences so that we have a permanent professional conference organizer, so that all of you are willing to engage in a conference organization, but by knowing that you are gonna take on board only the scientific part, which is basically what we know to do. So this is important for us, and this is something we started working on it. With regards to financial sustainability of the association, the conference is important, the memberships are important, but we are also building additional initiatives and trying to attract additional sponsors so that we are not so conference dependent, so that we can do other initiatives as well as a great conference, and at the same time be able to finance those. So this is why we are launching this science policy interface high-level webinars that are really extremely interesting. Please follow them, but they are also allow us to cash in. Follow them, but also let us know if you have the ability to organize some of them. High-level scientists, high-level politicians, high-level businessmen, talking between them to see how we can collaborate in order to actually facilitate the implementation of this sustainability transition. And this is something that the POC, the Policy Outreach Committee, is also working on. Simone will give you the details. Simone is the General Secretary of the COP, in addition to President-elect. Simone and Jos is the President, the Chair of the COP. In addition to what Simone will tell you, I really believe that having task forces on specific issues that have high policy relevance, for example, the implementation of the European Green Deal, the acceleration of the implementation of the SDGs in combination with the European Green Deal, policies that have to do with water management, like Kathy showed to us, and policies engaging the whole water, food, energy, biodiversity nexus. If institutions have reports, produce reports, and are willing to disseminate these reports further via the association, use the association as a platform to communicate their work as a task force and as a policy report, we would be very interested to engage with them, because you can try to organize events for policy outreach, you can be at the COPs. These are things that we are all already doing through various events. We participate in IPCC working groups. We participate in many discussions with DGs at the Commission, also with the UN. But what is important is to have solid reports with explicit policy recommendations and written in policy language so that you really have something to offer to the policymakers. And this is the way that EAERE can influence policy making. It is, I think, important, and I think something that we are not doing, and I think that our impact on society and economy, and also our duty, in a way, to society and economy goes through these pathways. We are also launching, as I said before, a book series, and it's more likely that it will be technical briefs, technical lecture notes on cutting-edge issues by EAERE fellows. We have this esteemed platform of fellows and prominent scientists, and please send us ideas. We are open to all ideas, and we think that we are negotiating a very good deal with prominent publishers. Then it's the diversity initiative, diversity, equity, and inclusion. As I said, we are starting with the living labs, firstly focus on gender diversity. Member institutions are providing the capacity for these living labs, and we, through our open call, we gathered 16 very important members of our community that will provide the leadership for the evolution of this diversity initiative. Finally, we are working closely with the environmental resource economists in the US, the US Association, the Asian Association. We have started talking with the Latin American Association, the African Association, the Australian, and the New Zealand one. Yesterday, I had a discussion with David and Partha, and they said that they think that it's also important to reach out to the ecological economists, and I agree. And I think it's a pity that we are not more integrated, so we are gonna put effort and resources towards further integration with them. And the idea is not just the World Conference, but also events, and maybe some science-driven policy campaign on issues that we feel very strongly about. For example, one issue that I think is crucial is what we do with UN Agenda 2030 beyond 2030. My preference would be not to start negotiating another agenda, but having seen that the SDGs have been endorsed, and we are now achieving sub-capacity for their implementation, it's quite important that we keep them as our guiding framework. We keep them as the global agenda that will help us implement the transition to sustainability. So campaigning with the UN and, of course, other institutions to keep Agenda 2030 and extend it to 2050, which is basically what the European Green Deal is doing, will be beneficial, will be socially beneficial. I will stop here and say we are in very good position to provide the vision and the interdisciplinary framework for this sustainability transition, which is one of the most important crises that we are facing at the moment, if not the most important ones, considering that we integrate in sustainability, financial, social, and environmental. Simone.
Thank you, Phoebe. I'm speaking with the head of the Secretary General of the Policy Outreach Committee. As you know, the Policy Outreach Committee was born in 2018 with the ultimate goal of making the association more influential in the EU policy arena. We also aimed at sub-tasks, let's say sub-goals, like improving the design and propose new activities and actions that the association can implement, becoming a relevant stakeholder for EU and international organizations, be invited to provide advice on policy decisions and research programs, set a stage for a more integrated dialogue between academia and policy world, and support policy institutions in developing countries. A set of very ambitious goals, I have to say. And where are we now? We reached some of these goals. Others are work in progress. But every year we are proceeding. We are reaching new steps. In these years, we have organized every year an event at the State of the Union in Florence and a policy session at the annual conference of the association. This year, for the first time, our event at the State of the Union was in the main program. And we had an incredible panel made of Beatrice Jordi from DG Climate, Esvaranzo Manatan, who I don't know if he's here, but he was here for sure these days, and Michael Spence, the Nobel Prize. The Policy Outreach Committee session this year is going to happen. So this is the closing ceremony, but it's not finished until it's all over, okay? So it's not all over yet. And we will be here. So let me advertise this session that will be on a very timely topic, what we call ETS2, on building and transport. So something that the Parliament and the Council are discussing right now. And I'm glad and thankful to PEAK for co-organizing this event with us. So it's a PEAK-POC event, There are people who have a TikTok, we have PEAK-POC. But then there is something else. Last year, for the first time, we obtained the status as observer at the UNFCCC, and we organized an event at COP26. This year, we are applying for a new event. We give another try, and we will submit also to the EU pavilion when the call opens. On top of these activities, as you know, we have published a statement on the European legislative proposal on climate change. Well, the goal was to attract the attention of policymakers and public opinion on the implications of the legislative package and on some key challenges that we'll need to address in the future. We wrote that some months ago, and we didn't expect to have further challenges, to be honest. But the new challenges posed by the Ukrainian war are actually, in my view, in our view, increasing the need of such a statement, such a position, and increase the need of raising the ambition of the European climate policy, rather than slowing it down as sometimes some people, let's say generally, claim for, because it's not the right time. It is the right time. If not now, when? So with this in mind, we think that it would be great to achieve a larger audience, an even larger audience, because first of all, I'd like to thank all of you who kindly signed the statement. We have 960 signatures so far, and I won't hide the fact that I would like to reach 1,000. You may ask why. Okay, maybe it's just a psychological threshold.
Simone, when did you check?
Just before jumping on the stage. But I suspect there might be some more that signed but are not evident in the list yet. We will double check later. So I think it's not only a psychological threshold, but it also increases the visibility and the possibility of reaching out to the journals. In our previous experiment, let's say, this happened when we took 1,000 signatures, and we had articles on, if I remember well, Guardian and Financial Times. So we want to be more visible, but not just for the sake of it, but because we can talk to policymakers, and the more we are, obviously, the easier it is. And we are in a position of talking to policymakers. We have lots to say, and we also have contacts through the Policy Outreach Committee members. Just to mention a few: Jos, Phoebe, I see Aldo, Ben, Thomas, I don't know where he is now. I mean, really, all of us have channels that allow us to be heard. And I think it's important to be heard. So, in short, you see the big orange block. If you go to the EAERE webpage, the main webpage, you will find that signal there. Just click on it, and it will bring you to the statement. And we'll be very grateful if you would sign and share. I would like to thank the whole POC, Policy Outreach Committee, because these persons have been incredible through these years, providing their time, insights, and good help in designing what we are doing now. And now, if I may, I'd like to say a few words on the present conference, because that was an amazing conference. I think this is something that will remain in our mind, in our memories, not only because it was after COVID, but also because it was really amazing from all viewpoints. Here are some numbers, just to show that we are still economists, and we cannot avoid showing a diagram when we talk, but some numbers that are really meaningful. In particular, I would like to draw your attention on the age share of our community. Around 60% of participants were below 40. So it's a young community, and I can tell you also the remaining 40% are young inside.
Yes, yes.
And the more I move to the right, the more I enjoy staying with people that enter from the left. New entries, young generation, we have a lot to learn from them. And so I really have great fun with them. In terms of distribution across regions and gender, we are doing less well, but there are reasons probably. In the case of the region, you see 83%, almost 84%, comes from Europe, but this year we basically lost, due to COVID, people from Asia. And so this explains why the Europeans increased their share. And there is still a gap that we would like to fill. The gender balance can still be improved. Can I say thanks?
Of course. That's why you're here.
Okay, then let me say a huge thanks. A huge thanks to the Scientific Program Committee, Marita, Alessandro, and Tassos. And a huge thanks to the local scientific committee, Elettra, Emanuele, and Nico. We thank the platform, the NMEs, and a huge thank goes also to the program committee members. So basically to us, 380 colleagues from our community who took part in the review process. And to show our gratitude, I will now read them one by one. No, don't worry, because it's really long. But finally, I would like to express my warmest gratitude to the conference organizers. First of all, the Department of Economics of the University of Bologna and the local organizing committee, Alessandro, Maria, Emanuele, Marco, Nico, Riccardo, Luca, Anna, Esther, and Tassos. You made an incredible work.
2 more slides. To thank the team of the permanent presidency of EAERE, Monica and her team. I call her since many years because I'm serving in the council many years as a vice president, 4 years, now another 3, and I have another 3. For all those years, I've been calling her the permanent president. She and her team are the memory of the association, are the spirit of the association, are the backbone of the association, and we thank her deeply. And if there is anybody that doesn't know where we are meeting next year, well, it's in Cyprus. So, it's a lovely island, it's small, we can walk everywhere, and what's more, we have very loyal institutional members there. It's the Cyprus Institute and the Cyprus University of Technology, and also Theo Zachariadis, who has been coming to these conferences for more than 15 years in a row. This year, unfortunately, he has a medical emergency with his mother. We are very happy that they took up the challenge. I'm particularly happy because it's my homeland. So keep engaged with us, send us your ideas, tell us what we are not doing, and see you in Cyprus. Thank you.